Good afternoon, guys. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Good afternoon, guys. Gotta wait for a little bit more people to hop in here. All right, thank you. Thank you, Joe. All right, so go ahead and get started here. So we've been looking at this day for quite a while in terms of rain and potential severe weather, and it looked like it was going to shift well off into Ohio, but the main low pressure system is kind of stalled over northern Indiana. As a result, we have a low end severe threat in that dark green area. So this isn't a very big, widespread threat. It's going to be very limited to the very extreme portion of southeast Michigan. So, as of right now, we are thinking there's going to be storms popping up in Ohio here in the coming hour or two. They're going to lift north and a little bit east, so mainly a northern movement with a little bit of eastern movement to it. And it's going to be right around the 2 to 5 o'clock time frame or so. And these storms will pose a risk given we have a large amount of what we call vorticity, with the low pressure system being directly off to our west. We have a good amount of spin in the atmosphere today. So with that, and also with the amount of what we call downdraft cape and 3 cape, we have a threat for both damaging winds from microbursts as well as a weak tornado threat in that dark green area. So Monroe County, eastern Lenawee, Washtenaw, Wayne, and then southern Oakland, or sorry, southern Macomb County, should I say. You guys are all in the risk today. That's going to be for wind and the weak tornado threat. So looking at some of these ingredients currently, I'll go ahead and stop my screen here and switch it. Give me 1 second. So we bring up the what we call surface analysis, real-time data we're looking at here. We can see here this area down here in southeast Michigan in the red line area. This is your surface instability. So it's just starting to push up into southeast Michigan right now. So that's going to aid in thunderstorm development, but also switching over to what we call our 3 cape, which is another form of instability, and what we call vorticity, which is a spin. Go ahead and find it here. We can see the overlapping of the blue and vorticity and the red and instability. That's going to be your low-end weak tornado threat popping into the very far southeast corner. So this is going to continue to work its way into southeast Michigan here as the afternoon goes on. So again, the areas, Lenawee, eastern Lenawee County, Monroe County, Washtenaw County, Wayne County, and southern Macomb County are the ones at risk. So because that low pressure did stall, it does kind of bring the threat back a little bit further to the west, but nothing like we were going to see. Looking at this a few days ago, we were looking at a more widespread event, but that models kind of shifted 500 miles in a course of 24 hours, and that very rarely happens. But this goes to show you what kind of models and what kind of things we don't know yet when we forecast these types of systems. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and switch back over to the SPC graphic map so I can leave that up and go over areas people who are asking. But again, it's going to be just for the Monroe, Wayne, southeastern Washtenaw, eastern Lenawee, and southern Macomb counties. And that's going to be for this afternoon. So anybody have any questions? Not a big threat, just enough to kind of warrant. The sun is actually shining here at my house, so that's interesting. That's for sure. I'm in eastern Lenawee, so I'm in this threat. So I'll be chasing. Time frames this afternoon, Kyle, between 2 and 4, or should I say 2 and 5, centered around peak heating. We do have some development now beginning in Ohio, just near Wauseon into Bowling Green. That's going to be pushed up our way. Those are going to be the cells we're going to be watching here. So this threat is about to get underway here the next hour or two. Brighton area, you guys are just out of this threat, so it's going to be to your south. It's going to be a damaging wind via microburst and downburst. So when rain falls very heavily at a very fast pace, It hits the ground and spreads outward. So that'll be the microburst threat, and then a weak tornado threat given the amount of vorticity that we have today, with the low pressure being just off to our west. Edwardsburg does no threat over there, Veronica. This is going to be for very extreme portions of southeast Michigan. But we did want to give our followers from that area a heads up, which is why we're live here. I know a lot of people probably watching this are not from this southeast corner. But for those of you who are, we do have a good following from the Lenawee, Monroe, Wayne, and Washtenaw County areas. So we wanted to hop on here and give you guys a heads up. And also with the race today in Brooklyn over in western Lenawee, we have the chance of rain over there. But the severe threat does appear to be off to the east from this. Oakland County, you guys are just barely in the threat. Areas, Farmington Hills, Southfield, Berkeley, Clawson, Hazel Park, those areas are in the threat, but areas north like Pontiac, Waterford, Clarkston, Oxford, you guys are not in that threat. It's very far southeastern portions of Oakland County. Macomb County, you are in this threat. You're going to be southern parts of Macomb, Warren especially, Fraser, St. Clair Shores, East Point. You guys are all in that threat today. But areas north like Sterling Heights, Harrison, Chesterfield, New Haven, Armada, you guys are not in that threat. Onstead, you are outside of this threat, but there is a chance for some storms later today. At the race today, for those of you maybe tuning in from Brooklyn, we do have the threat for rain continuing in the afternoon, given that there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. There's also surface instability kind of pushing up. So the combination of moisture with the lift from the low pressure, we're going to have rain chances all day at the racetrack up there. So off and on rain for sure. In fact, we do have that line now developing into southwestern Lenawee, pushing up your way into Brooklyn. So you may have some rain here next half hour or so at the racetrack, unfortunately. What time frame for Dundee? So Dundee, you're going to be probably next hour or two, I'd say, with these storms popping off in Ohio, currently working its way up. We could be looking here in the next about 45 minutes to 2 to 3 hours. I'm not going to stay on here too long. I'm probably going to shoot into Monroe, probably near Maybe. For those of you who know where Maybe's at, I'm probably going to sit in that general area and kind of wait to see what these storms do. But I'll be targeting Monroe County. I'll be out chasing. And then Joel will be on here streaming if anything goes severe. So we got you covered here. Can I show radar? Yes, I can. Give me 1 second to pull it up. I'm not going to stay on here too much longer. I do want to get out into Monroe County here. I'm going to set up and just be prepared for anything that could happen. Again, very low-end threat today, but it does warrant watching just given the amount of vorticity. For those of you who remember back in the earlier parts of the year, we did have a EF0 tornado in Dundee that happened on a day similar to this, where we had a lot of vorticity in the atmosphere like today, with the low pressure being just off to the west. So very similar setup to that of what happened last. I want to say it was either late March or early April. I could be mistaken, but we had an EF0 in Dundee on a very similar setup to that day. But here's your radar. We do have these cells now coming into Lucas County down here in Toledo. So Perrysburg area, those are going to work its way north into Monroe County here. And that's what we'll be watching here in the next hour or so. Go ahead and animate this for you so you guys can get the idea of storm motion. There you go. So the storm motion, each radar scan is 6 minutes. So every time that updates, it's a 6-minute loop. So they're moving pretty good today. So I need to get over there and get in position for these storms. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of position. So I'm all going to hop off here in a few minutes. But yeah, this is what we're going to be watching here heading up into Monroe County. So again, this marginal risk, you can kind of make out on the screen here. I go ahead and zoom back a little bit out. I guess that's too far. Zoom back in here, move it up. The marginal risk is right here. Monroe, that includes Ann Arbor, Saline in Washtenaw counties, Milan, looking at Belleville here, looking at Metro Detroit, Warren. So very, very small portion here of Southeast Michigan, but it's very populated in this area. We also have a lot of following, so it warrants watching. All right, taking some more questions here. Anything for Coldwater? Not today, just some rain, potentially some thunderstorms. Up in the Thumb area tonight, anybody tuning in from the Thumb, we do have an area that we're watching for some flooding up there tonight into the morning hours. We could have some stationary storms in the Thumb that could cause some flooding, but that's about it. Let's see more questions here. I don't see any. I'm not going to stay in here too much longer. Like I said, I'll be out chasing here in Monroe County. So, any more questions, guys, before I hop off here? On your way out, give a big thumbs up to the stream. You'd appreciate that. Jacob Monroe, you're basically in the heart of the threat. Wind in a tornado threat today. Very low-end threat, but it does bear watching just given the amount of vorticity we have. It could spin something up. And also, something else to mention is the cloud heights. For those of you who have been outside or looked outside, we have a lot of low-level clouds that are very close to the ground. So when you have those, we call LCL, which is basically just a term for cloud height. When you have the LCL so low to the ground, it doesn't take much to get these things spinning. So we could see some pretty good motion in some of these low-level clouds today. Walter, up in the racetrack, you do have some more storms. In fact, you can see them on radar here popping up. You do have a rain chance all day today with the amount of moisture and lift in the atmosphere. But we do have a developing line here heading up toward the racetrack. They'll probably continue to develop here. All these red dots up here, that's your racetrack. So as that line continues to develop, it'll move up to Brooklyn, and it'll probably impact you in the next half hour to an hour. I know the start time for the track has been moved up to the 2:30 time frame. So that will be probably right around just probably before 2:30 impact for you guys with this line. And then again, more showers and storms are possible to the south of here in Northwest Ohio and Indiana. Those will continue to develop into the afternoon. These cells are really starting to look like they're popping off here. So Swanton, Perrysburg, those are the cells we're watching as they push up into Monroe County. So next hour or two, we're going to be watching closely. So back over to chat here. Any more questions? Yeah, Jacob, time frame is basically just watching the storms to the south. Look to impact Monroe County in the next hour or two. Overall threat should be over by 6 or 7 tonight. It's not going to be a very long-lived threat. It should be pretty much a one-and-done type of deal, although the amount of vorticity we have is honestly a little bit eyebrow-raising, so we'll have to watch in the afternoon and evening hours. But right now, it's going to be the next hour or two is your initial threat. Mundy Township, Diane, I'm not sure where Mundy Township is. Being familiar with Southeast Michigan, I'm going to say you're not in the threat today. I've never heard of Mundy Township. You give me a county name or a nearest bigger city, that'd be awesome. Let's see here. Bishop Airport. I still don't know where that's at. Let me Google it. Okay, Flint. Yeah, you're not in the threat today. Just some rain and some storms today for Flint. Yeah, when you guys ask like for locations and stuff, your nearest bigger city works. Just because you live like 2 miles outside a big city or 10 miles, it's pretty much the same all around. Flint will just get some storms today and some rain. Dawn, thunder shouldn't be too big of an issue today. Probably just a few rumbles. It's not going to be, anything long-lived or I just don't expect there to be much thunder today. There's a possibility of it, given the amount of instability we have on the surface, but the upper level instability isn't really there for thunder. Not to rule it out completely, but I just don't think it gets, very likely until this evening. Julie, I will stream if something happens. We do have Joel on standby for streaming radar if anything goes severe, and I'll be out chasing. So if I'm on a storm and nothing's live, if I see something, I'll go live on my phone. But running radar, that's going to be strictly on Joel if anything goes severe. I will be pretty much in your backyard, though, Julie. I'll probably heading up toward the maybe Belleville area. So I'll be around your area. Dundee, I'll probably be in that area here pretty soon. And then probably gonna split up. I don't know. I'm deciding right now I'm looking at my phone here. I'm looking probably gonna set up at somewhere in central Monroe County and just shoot north towards the 94 corridor near Belleville. But once you get to Metro Detroit, it becomes really hard to chase up there. All right, guys, with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to get in position in Monroe County. So if anything does go severe, we do have Joel planning to go live if nothing significant happens with his plans. But I'll be live either way if I get something interesting in the field. So with that being said, guys, have a good day and give a thumbs up to the stream on your way out. Thanks, guys, for watching.